right? Now, it says, behold, so it should say, behold, the young maiden, okay, shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that you abhor or hate shall be forsaken of both her kings. All right, now, what is that saying? It's saying that this boy was going to be born during the time of Ahaz. His name was going to be called Emmanuel. When you read that over in the New Testament, like I just did, okay, it says it meant God is with us, God with us. But in actuality, they got it turned around. It means with us is the strong one, because El means strong one. All right? And Yah was saying to Ahaz and his people that he was still with them because they hadn't totally departed from him. And he was saying that this sign of this boy, before this boy was old enough to choose right from wrong, okay, that both these two kings were going to be taken away. All right? And that's what we just read here in verse 16. Okay? Both these two kings, before this boy was old enough to choose right from wrong, both these two kings that had allied themselves, the king of Israel, okay, and the king of Syria, before this boy was old enough to choose right from wrong, both these two kings would be taken away. They would die. All right? And this was to be done in the time of Ahaz. He had to see this. This was a sign for him. Though he would not ask a sign, the sign was for him. Ahaz died 728 BCE. So that means the birth of this boy Emmanuel, okay, would have had to taken place before Ahaz died. All right? So therefore, who is this boy Emmanuel? Okay? Now, when you go over into chapter 8, Isaiah, verse 18, it specifically says there, and I'm going to read it, behold, this is Isaiah talking. So he's saying talking about himself, and the children whom Yah hath given me are for signs and wonders in Israel from Yah of hosts, which dwells in Mount Zion. So who is he talking about? At the top of chapter 7, okay, as you have your books open, you can see it. As I just read, Sheshai, his son, Isaiah's son, was with him when they were sent to Ahaz and Jerusalem to tell Ahaz the words of Yah that we just read here at the top of chapter 7. Okay? All the way down through 16. And it goes further, but we just stopped there at 16. Now, Sheshai, when you look up his name in a Bible dictionary, okay, the definition of his name was a remnant shall return. Remember that. A remnant shall return. Now that was what Sheshai's birth meant. That was what the sign of his birth meant. Remember what we just read here in 8:18. Okay? Isaiah said, I and the children whom the Lord or Yah of hosts has given me are for signs and wonders. Okay? In Zion, in Israel, in Jerusalem. Okay? For the children of Israel, but also for the people of the world who heard about these prophecies. Okay? Back then, and it's for us today. All right? So therefore, Emmanuel was Isaiah's second son, born by his wife. Okay? That's why the descendants of Esau, who transliterated this book time and time again, and that's what we have today, all over the world, we have the transliteration that he has put forth to the world. He changed this word this word Alma to virgin, when he changed it into English. He changed it, okay? Because this is where he put his hook in for this idolatrous concept that he came up with, this ideology of Christianity and its idol called Jesus or Yeshua or Yahashua. Okay? Makes no difference what you want to, you understand, how you want to say this Jesus in Hebrew, you understand, Israelite, it makes no difference. It's still, if you use it in regards to this New Testament, it's still idolatry. Simple as that, because you can see here that this sign of Emmanuel was for Ahaz, and it specifically says that. And Ahaz died in 728 BCE, so therefore he had to see the birth of this boy before he died. All right? Now this is approximately what? According to the story of the Gospels, they tell you that this entity called Jesus or Yeshua or YHWH, however you want to pronounce it, you understand what I'm saying? They tell you, they give you 3 different dates of his birth. 8 BC, 6 BC, or 4 BC. You take your pick, because it's a made-up story. It's a myth. And that's what we're here today, to dispel this myth of Christianity. All right? Now that should be plain to anybody that can read with comprehension. So therefore, this prophecy is not talking about the birth of this supposed person over here in Matthew chapter 1, as it says in chapter 1, Matthew. So right there, that makes this how the Gospels, the good spell, okay, starts out with the first chapter in the first book of this New Testament. It makes this a lie, straight out. Okay, and like I say, anybody that can read and comprehend can see that. All right, so therefore, now when you go over into chapter 8, Isaiah had another son born to him that Yah gave him, Mahashalhashbaz. Okay, now as it spoke of over here in chapter 7, Isaiah, and we just read it a minute ago in verse 8, Yah said, he says here, for the head of Syria is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Reason. Now he's saying here in the last part of this, verse 8 in chapter 7, and within 65 years, 65 years, shall Ephraim be broken, that it be not a people. Now that's the 10 tribes. Okay? That's the 10 tribes. All right? That it just told you that Pekah, the son of Remaliah, was head of. Because remember now, this is after the nation was split, after Solomon's death. Yah split the nation of Israel into 10 tribes. It's split to this day. Okay, those 10 tribes are the so-called Palestinians. All right? Like we said on the previous show and shows, they don't even know who they are yet. But they're going, Yah says in chapter 10 of the book of Zechariah, that he's going to bring the remembrance of him back to them. Just like he's bringing it back to the children of Israel on this side of the world, that descended out of Yehuda, Benjamin, and the Levites. Okay? So now, it says over in chapter 8, Isaiah, Yah said that, now he said here in chapter 7, he was going to break the 10 tribes. Within 65 years, they wouldn't be a people. In other words, he was going to have them carried away. Okay? And you go over into 2 Kings, chapter 17, chapter 18, you can read about how when they were taken away in 722, 721 BCE. Now remember, like I said earlier, Ahaz died in 728 BCE. So this prophecy that was told to him, okay, from Yah through Isaiah, as we just read, he was not going to live long enough to witness this. But he did see and witness this birth of Isaiah's second son, who was called Emmanuel, okay? Because Yah was saying he was still with them. That's why it says here in chapter 7, Isaiah, let me find it here, verse 9, Isaiah was, Yah told Ahaz through Isaiah, and the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is Remaliah's son. And then it was said to Ahaz, if you will not believe, surely you shall not be established. Okay, so it's telling Ahaz that he had to have faith in Yah. He had to obey Yah, which we can see here. And if you go back into Kings and Chronicles, you can see that, he didn't. That's why he only reigned 16 years, from 744 BCE to 728 BCE. But Emmanuel, he witnessed his birth, that he was born. And before this boy could choose right from wrong, both these two kings who had allied themselves to come against him and his people were killed.